Welcome to the VinAnswer Studio. Today I'm making this striped square balloon arch. It's primarily made from two different kinds of balloon quads. The first being a tiny quad made from 4 5-inch balloons. I'm going to inflate these to 4 pumps of air with my hand pump, or until they're about 4.5 inches in diameter. I'm going to hold the first one under my finger while I inflate the second one to the exact same size, and then I'll tie them together into a pair by wrapping the nozzles around twice and tying them in a single knot. I want to make sure I tie this knot at the very end of the nozzles so there's a lot of room between the two balloons for our stand later on. Make a second pair in the same way and then overlap the two pairs so that the nozzles touch in the center, and then twist one balloon from each of those pairs around each other, locking them into a quad. Next, we need to make a large quad, and this one includes two 11-inch balloons that I'll inflate to their full size and then size them down to 8 inches in diameter using a sizer box. To do this, press the balloon gently against the 8-inch hole and slowly let air out of the balloon until it just slips through. Once you've got both balloons sized to 8 inches in diameter, tie these together into a pair just like we did the tiny balloons, making sure the knot is tied at the very end of the nozzle so there's plenty of room between those two balloons. Inflate and tie another 4.5-inch pair and join it to the 8-inch pair by overlapping the nozzles again and twisting the two around each other, and this will make our large quad. I'll show you in just a moment the color combinations, but first we need a stand to build this on. I'm using my favorite backdrop stand, which I'll have linked below. Eventually we'll raise this to 7 feet tall, but currently have it set at shoulder height for ease of installation. Then I'm going to measure out my horizontal pole, making sure it's 5 feet in length so we can get our complete pattern across the top. I have a set of written instructions available for today's design, and that includes this custom color guide so you can make this pattern in any color set you like. Check it out in the description box below. I'm going to start the pattern in the center of our top pole, which I've marked with a white piece of tape so you can easily see it. The centermost balloon is a tiny quad, and I'm going to slip it over the pole so that the nozzles are touching it, and then take the two balloons with the pole in between them and twist them together. This will lock the quad onto the stand. Make sure the quad is standing perfectly upright and both orange are on the top and both pink are on the bottom. Next to that, I'm going to add a large quad that is orange, pink, and purple and slip it onto the pole and then twist two balloons with the pole in between them around each other, securing it to the backdrop. Now when you're orienting this balloon, you want to make sure your 8-inch balloons are pointing up and down or side to side, while the little 5-inch balloons are always pointing towards the front or the back of the design. Next, add a tiny quad of pink and purple balloons, making sure the pink ones are all on top and the purple ones are all on the bottom. This will make it so the pattern can be seen on both the front and the back of this arch. Follow that up with a large quad of pink, purple, and teal balloons, and you begin to see the pattern emerge. We're always going to alternate between tiny quads and large quads, and you'll begin to see the colors move. In this section of the arch, the colors start on the bottom and slowly move up towards the top right. Once you add the fourth tiny quad to the upper portion of the arch, that's where the pattern stops and where the special corner section begins. We'll still have a striped look, but the way we're adding the balloons and the sizing is going to be a little different. The next large quad in the pattern I've inflated to 8 inches, and the bottom balloon is inflated to 6 inches. This will allow us to turn the corner and not get bogged down on the inner side of the arch. Here you can see my 6-inch balloon is actually touching the vertical pole, so I need to push my balloons a little bit to the left so I have some room for my next two quads. And that's one of the main reasons I'm using an adjustable stand, so depending on how tight or loose you pack your balloons together, you have a little bit of flexibility to make sure all of your stripes line up. This tiny quad is the last one to be attached to the horizontal pole on this side of the arch, because the next tiny quad is all pink balloons, and I'm going to slip it beside the horizontal pole up right into the corner and hide the vertical pole from sight, while the upper pink balloon sits right between the two balloons to the left of it. Next, I'm going to take an 8-inch balloon pair with a pink and an orange balloon and tie one of the nozzles of that pair to one of the nozzles of that all pink quad that I just slipped in. I want to orient this pair so that the pink balloon is pointing up and the orange balloon is pointing down, as that pink balloon will be the corner point of this arch. Now you'll notice that our orange stripe doesn't end in an 8-inch balloon, so we're going to tie in an individual orange one to the nozzles of that tiny pink and orange quad. That will finish up the outer edge of our corner. Now you may have to play around with these 8-inch balloons a little bit so that they are in line with the top and the sides, while keeping the nozzles hidden from sight. The corner balloons will also stabilize once we get a few more balloons down the side poles. Under the corner, I'm going to add a pink and orange tiny quad with both orange balloons on the outside of the arch and both pink balloons on the inside of the arch. Snug this right up against the all pink quad so it sits right between the pink and orange balloons. Add a large teal, orange, and pink quad right underneath, and that large pink balloon will finish off the pink stripe of this corner. Before I add any more balloons to the vertical pole, I'm going to go back up to the center of the arch and attach the exact same balloons we just did, but in a mirrored pattern. And this will give us that nice point in the center of the arch with all the stripes looking like they originate in the middle of the design. If you'd like to take a deep dive on assembling this arch, my patrons and YouTube members have exclusive access to an extended cut of this video. You can check that out as well as all of the bonus content by joining today. Once the top is completed, I raised the arch so that the horizontal pole is 7 feet off the ground, and now I'm going to cover both vertical poles with my quads, alternating back and forth between the tiny and large quads. And I want to point out that the color pattern that I'm doing down the sides of the arch is reversed from what I did across the top. I think this gives the corners a really dramatic look as you get double pink and then double orange right in those corners, and it allows it to stand out in the design. The left and right sides of this design are also mirrored images of each other so that our stripes are always pointing up and out. It's good to stop about halfway down the second side to make sure your stripes are in line with each other. Once the entire backdrop stand is covered in balloons, this arch is ready to be the focal point of any party or event. If you enjoyed this project, you should check out this arch build. And until the next time, remember, stay creative, everybody!